One of my favorite things about working at Loras has been accompanying students on their faith journey. One of the ways that we do this that really promotes dialogue and compassion and understanding has been through our interfaith engagement. Interfaith Youth Corps often talks about this idea of growing in appreciative knowledge, attitudes, and relationships with people who are different than you. And we have found as we build dialogue and understanding with students, we are able to not only grow in our faith ourselves, but also understand where other people are coming from. It's really important then to prepare students to live in this global society by helping facilitate experiences where they're learning from people from different faiths, identities, and backgrounds. We are excited that you're joining us on this journey through the video to explain why interfaith engagement is important here at Loras College, a Catholic institution. Our hope is that through the interviews, people sharing their stories, that you're able to understand that it's out of our Catholic identity, not in spite of, that we challenge and invite students to grow in their faith and how they identify with others, regardless of their worldview or faith tradition. We hope that from this video, you come away with it with an open heart, more willing to engage in dialogue with peers and also people in the classroom, and that you can go and then create positive change in the world.
People of other religious traditions don't live in other continents anymore. They live in our backyard. They live across the street from us. They live next door to us. They are our neighbors. They are our co-workers. They are our friends.
We live in a multi-religious and multicultural society. Interfaith provides a glue that nourishes and keeps our society together.
We need to learn how to build connections with people who have different worldviews, different opinions than us, and we need to practice those skills constantly.
It is important for us to be able to have that type of conversation and listen to one another instead of fighting over our differences.
It is about respectful coexistence with other faiths, cultures, and worldviews that are different from our own.
There's a very long tradition of interreligious engagement. You can trace it all the way back to the biblical texts themselves, all the way through the church fathers, several councils, but the most prominent places in which Catholic promotion of interreligious engagement occurs, it begins with Vatican II. Vatican II talks explicitly in the document Nostra Aetate about the need for interreligious engagement. And the way in which it expresses it is it acknowledges that Christ has revealed Christ's self throughout the entire world, even in other religious traditions. And so it is through engagement with other religious traditions that one comes to understand, receive, and know Christ more fully.
It's very clear if you read the Gospels and listen to the teachings of Jesus that the faith that he was teaching is not a tribal identity-based type religion, but instead a religion of outreach and connection.
It calls upon Catholics to engage people of other religious traditions, to encounter Christ in other religious traditions, to build bridges with people of other religious traditions, to learn about and to learn from other religious traditions, while simultaneously proclaiming the good news of the gospel.
My Christian faith urges me to build connections with people outside of my own tradition.
And what the church really believes is that Christ, if Christ really is present everywhere, then Christ really is present in other religious traditions in such a way that if Catholics really want to understand Christ, understand truth, understand God, then one must engage people of other religious traditions and other religious backgrounds. It is only through that engagement that we come to an even better understanding of who God is and who we are.
Interfaith engagement is an aspect of pluralism. Pluralism is not the same as relativism. Pluralism is simply engaging with difference in a way that seeks to make positive change in the world.
Interfaith provides an opportunity to enrich the understanding of other faiths, culture, and socio-political viewpoints that are different from our own. Students participating in interfaith can engage with each other respectfully and explore the role their faith plays in their everyday lives, calling, and career.
Interfaith work isn't going to convert anybody from one religion to another religion. It almost never does that. That's not the intent. It is intended to convert all of us in a very Catholic sense of conversion towards a deeper relationship with God through each other.
When you dialogue with somebody of another religious tradition, something that they say might actually expose something that you misunderstand about your own religious tradition.
You know, there's this sense of communion that is the heart and soul of the Catholic tradition. And that is this idea that we come to God and we get to know God through each other, and God reaches out to us through each other. That's exactly what we do.
Yeah, it's very important to have this type of community and also connection, because we are all different in our own ways, and it's important that we bring uniqueness to it.
You know, it's this intentional practice of mercy and compassion, even when there are difficulties, even when there's natural tensions. Love your enemy and pray for them, as opposed to hating someone who's different than you. You know, I think it's understandable for Christians and really for people in many religious traditions to be nervous about interacting with people of other religions.
One of the temptations in interreligious dialogue, I think, is that you want to be hospitable toward someone of another religious tradition, which is a good desire, a good inclination, but it can also lead you to wonder if you're supposed to accept what it is they say as true, which cannot be simultaneously true with your own beliefs and ideas and your sense of truth. And so one might wonder, should I accept what it is that they say, or should I reject what it is that they say? And if I reject what it is that they say, am I no longer being hospitable, and has the dialogue ended? I don't think that's actually the case when you really enter into interreligious dialogue. When you do enter into religious dialogue, one of the things that is fostered in each individual, if it's done successfully, is an appreciation of difference, which is not to say you have your truth, I have my truth, and they're both true, nor is it to say that I'm right and you're 100% wrong. Rather, what it means is I believe I'm right, you believe you're right, we both accept that we each believe that we're right. I believe actually some of the things that you say are right, and that's leading me to reconsider some ideas in my own understanding, and vice versa for you, and that's okay. You can be distinct, and we can still be in good relationship with each other. For me, I have come to know my Catholic faith through catechism, through Catholic education, through my own personal study. But it's only when I've really come into dialogue with other people of other religious traditions that I've really come to understand that tradition.
Every single conversation we have that is an interfaith conversation, I always learn something.
I found Loras as a wonderful community, very loving, open-minded, and genuinely curious to know other faiths and traditions.
I'm really proud of Loras College's efforts to promote interfaith dialogue and build interfaith relations. Lots of folks underestimate the power and universality of the Catholic Church, namely that there are over 1.1 billion Catholics, yet 800 million of Catholics reside outside the United States. So as a church, we have to build relations with one another across the oceans and among different countries and different cultures. But simultaneously, Christ and our church calls us to be one and with those of other faith traditions as well. We at Loras are committed to answering God's call, living the gospel as promoted and lived by Jesus, but also finding ways to make our mission at Loras come alive. We do so as a Catholic community, but namely within the confines of our Catholic identity by reaching out, getting to know, and getting to learn from our brothers and sisters who come from different faith traditions.
As a student who identifies as Catholic, I've grown a lot through my involvement in Interfaith at Loras. Some of my favorite things that have helped me to grow are our community conversations called Children of Abraham in sacred spaces around Dubuque, our Diwali celebration, and my involvement in a group called Better Together. I invite all of you to not be afraid to have conversations with your peers around religious and worldview identities, and to take advantage of the opportunities at Loras in order to grow in compassion and dialogue.